In this presentation, I'm going to talk about creating a forward framework for revitalising Woodbridge Town Centre. I'm going to focus mainly on how we can get different organisations, groups around the town, all working together, rowing in the same direction to improve the town centre. I'm also going to touch on a little bit of how we can bounce back after the COVID-19 pandemic. This work to create a forward framework is part of work that the People and Places Partnerships were commissioned to undertake by East Suffolk Council, and it's carried out in conjunction with Woodbridge Town Council and Choose Woodbridge. This work in Woodbridge follows national guidance that the People and Places Partnership developed for the Local Government Association. You can find this guidance as part of the Revitalising Town Centres Toolkit if you follow the web link at the bottom of this page. And in fact, throughout this presentation, you'll find various web links in the footers that point you to extra sources of information. Another source of topical national information are the web pages we've put together at looking beyond COVID-19, where you'll find a range of topical materials about how town centres can respond to the pandemic. There are three key stages to revitalising a town centre, and indeed to this presentation. I'm going to kick off briefly by reviewing the research that we undertook to help understand what's happening in Woodbridge Town Centre and to understand trends so that then we can develop solutions. So I'm going to kick off giving you some of the highlights from that research. Much more detail is available if you access the baseline survey using the link below to the East Suffolk Means Business website. The survey involved engagement with stakeholders, measuring key performance indicators, and perhaps most interestingly and insightfully, interviewing businesses in the town centre and users both on street, online, to give us a wealth of information about their perceptions of the town and how they use it. So just some headline findings from that detailed research. Here, one of the questions we asked businesses about their confidence going forward, reflected in their projections of turnover. And what you can see if you study this slide is that in Woodbridge, we find pretty much in par with East Suffolk and national averages that about 1 in 5 of the businesses are worried that their turnover will continue to decline in the future, and that was prior to the COVID crisis. So nothing frightening in terms of it's not worse than other places, but it is a concern that a fifth of the businesses are not confident about the future. We also asked businesses what they like about being based in Woodbridge Town Centre and compared that to national averages, and you can see they feel it's an attractive place, it's a prosperous place to be based, they value local customers and they value the potential of tourist customers. They value the cafes, the pubs, the restaurants that bring the town centre to life and hold people within it. They also value where it's placed within Suffolk and in the country, the mix of businesses alongside themselves that attracts people, and the footfall that generates moving around the town. We asked similar questions to customers about what they liked about using Woodbridge Town Centre, and they told us it's a convenient place to come to and to shop. They value the customer services in the shops, in the businesses, probably very much from those independent businesses that are well represented in the town. But it's an easy place to walk around. It feels clean, it feels safe, they like the look of the town, and they like the comparison retail, so that's electrical goods, fashion items, luxury items that they can find in Woodbridge Town Centre. So the first reflection is, have things changed as a result of the COVID-19 crisis? Do you think that it's had an impact on some of those perceptions that we've heard from businesses and customers, and maybe priorities for the future of Woodbridge Town Centre? Or do we need to learn more about this because we don't know what has changed? I'm now going to focus on the main part of this presentation today. It's about creating partnerships. How do we bring key groups to work together around particular themes to help revitalise and improve the prospects of Woodbridge Town Centre. We follow a particular methodology for helping create this partnership, moving from understanding that evidence to engaging with groups and developing solutions. And it really is important to put that time in. And here you can see the sequence of events that we follow using what we call the F factors for success in creating a town team and planning for the future. And there are many ways in different towns that groups come together to help plan for and deliver an improved town centre. Here we just quickly show you what some of those are. They can be very formal organisations, things like business improvement districts, or they can be informal partnerships where people come together to discuss ideas. There aren't wrongs and rights, and the different structures can evolve. We're going to talk a little bit now really about how a partnership may come together and begin to evolve in Woodbridge. So this is what we're suggesting in terms of how groups may come together to focus on enhancing Woodbridge Town Centre and revitalising it for future people to enjoy. And we realise this doesn't start with a blank canvas, that there are already organisations doing great works to improve parts of the town, to represent businesses and promote it more widely. What we're doing is creating a sense of perhaps how these organisations can come together more routinely, beginning with coordination and effective communication. Again, with the analogy, we want to get everybody rowing in the same direction, adding value and being clear of what their role is in revitalising Woodbridge. So another moment to pause here and reflect. From our experience, a key role that will determine the success of revitalising a town centre is getting at the hub effective coordination and communication. Communication internally and communication to businesses, to the wider community and to incoming visitors as well. So we're suggesting that a coordination community group sits at the hub of activity. It would be small, hands-on, have a supporting role. It would coordinate the other groups and projects. It would help in fundraising and managing finances, and it would communicate progress. And we're suggesting it's a slimline group, and it would comprise of the district council, the town council, and Choose Woodbridge, with perhaps monthly virtual catch-ups. So what are your thoughts on this coordinating group and its composition? Very much happy for you to feed those in to the town council, to Choose Woodbridge, or through groups that you belong to. We're now moving on to the third phase of revitalising a town centre, and that moves on to addressing the issues that we've identified. And then we're going to focus here on how groups can come together around particular themes to start planning, delivering success and influencing the work of others. If you want to, using the link at the bottom of this slide, you can see how we've put together an action plan working in this way with groups and partnerships in Bungay, not a million miles away at the northern end of East Suffolk, and how they've come together, the town council and the business association there, to create a forward framework. We're also, though, putting together similar resources as we continue to work in Woodbridge, and again you can see the link at the bottom of the page, including to this document, which is an initial summary of the steps involved in putting together a forward framework, looking at how partnerships come together and beginning to say what are the issues, what are the projects that may come out of this. This is your checklist clipboard that you want to get out literally or figuratively, maybe every 3 to 6 months. Now, not all of these issues will be a priority within Woodbridge, but in revitalising a town centre, you want to keep an eye across the breadth of these issues so that things come together in a coordinated way and we're improving the whole of the town centre. From the survey work that we undertook in Woodbridge, these are what we are proposing should be the priority themes for groups to come together to tackle. And that's about improving traffic and parking, how people get into town, and then how they move around the town so that there's an even foot flow. Woodbridge, fortunately, is a busy town centre at its heart, and we want to see that foot flow moving around the whole of the town. We want to strengthen the town's already positive brand and identity to make more of it, and we're suggesting that part of this could be achieved by increasingly taking the town online and meeting a demand that we found amongst customers for more services, including beginning social media, but even moving towards things like click and collect, where they can engage with the towns and businesses online before coming into town. The work in Woodbridge also benefits in participating as part of district-wide work linked to other towns across East Suffolk. And that's great just for sharing what works in terms of how partnerships come together. I think there's a lot that other towns can learn from the work of Choose Woodbridge and other creative partnerships within the town. And also looking at project successes and sharing what works in one place and another. There are also 2 district-wide initiatives that the town can link into. One is the Smart Towns project, piloted in Framlingham, which shows how, through investment in digital infrastructure and skills, towns can move to have a greater presence online. And the other, which is a very pertinent issue, as we're seeing for Woodbridge, is linking in to the way the District Council has reviewed parking provision and how it's managed across the district as a whole, and relating that to practicalities on the ground in Woodbridge. So the first of 2 themes that we're suggesting that key groups come to look at improving is around travel, parking and access to boost foot flow ultimately around the town. So how do people get into and move around Woodbridge Town Centre? And just to pull out some of the issues very quickly, you can find much more detail in the full report, but customers told us, yes, that parking and traffic and transport were key issues, things that they would like to see improved for Woodbridge. Our indicative data also showed us that car parking can be a limiting factor on the town centre, and that on busy days, because it's a successful place, it can also be a difficult place to park. And if we look at foot flow, how people move around the town, we can see that in the centre of the thoroughfare, around the co-op, yes, there's more people than we would normally expect in a town the size of Woodbridge, but that as you move east along the thoroughfare or as you move up Church Street, then that footfall falls away slightly, and probably if we'd done a count along Keith Street moving toward the station, we may have found a dip as well. So we want to see how we've got people in the town, how can they have the best experience by moving around the town and using all the businesses and services visiting the attractions. Now, suggesting that a group comes together as part of the wider partnership to look at the issues of travel, parking and access, how people get into and move around the town. They will be responsible for devising, managing and delivering actions, commissioning further research and project delivery to improve movement around the town. They're responsible for updating the coordinating group, and we're suggesting that they meet quarterly. We're suggesting that this group will comprise primarily of key public bodies, the County Council with their highways role, district with particularly their role in managing parking, the Town Council who manage some fantastic public spaces in the town centre, but there may be special interest groups that we want to bring in and that feel they have a role, such as, for example, the Woodbridge Riverside Trust, which obviously have an interest in seeing that people find their way to the riverside, which is a great asset of Woodbridge, something that people enjoy as part of their experience of the town centre. So if you have ideas about the role or representation of this group, feed that into the process through organisations that you belong to. And here is the riverside, representing the second of our two themes. It's really about Woodbridge is a lovely town. How do we shout about it more in innovative ways so that more people enjoy it, or the people that are already aware of it get more out of their visits? Here we see some of the things we found out about the image and identity of Woodbridge from the survey work. And you can see here from this word cloud of what people told us in a word summed up Woodbridge, that the perceptions are overwhelmingly positive. So we need to take that, build on it, and make more of it. But we can't relax in doing that. Here's a slide that shows how people responded when we asked how their experience had changed in recent years. And you can see, whilst a goodly number had said it improved, we're also registering people, perhaps surprisingly, but that people are saying that for them it's worsened. And the vast majority are saying it's just stayed the same, or it's changed for good and for bad. Do we want that, or do we want people coming back to us and saying we like Woodbridge and it's getting even better? This slide shows how Woodbridge compares with neighbouring towns in East Suffolk in terms of people's perception about the retail offer. Look at the last brown bar in each of these clusters for Woodbridge, and you can see that broadly, and I know this is a bit confusing because we're talking about negatives, broadly people were not very negative, hence they were positive about the retail offer in Woodbridge, and so that's a great strength. And the last little slide I'm going to show you about this area about marketing and digital is a slide that gave us feedback on customers' appetite to engage with Woodbridge online. And so these are people that already use the town, but they feel they could get more from Woodbridge if there were services and information provided online. And that begins with websites about the town centre. It also looks at use of social media, so different ways building towards click and collect, where people can continue their relationship, get more out of the town by engaging with it online. So how do we feel that a promotional working group should be organised, responsible for overseeing marketing of the towns, its businesses, attractions and services, and increasingly engaging with customers online? As I say, building on an awful lot of good work that's already going on through Choose Woodbridge and other organisations and businesses in the town centre. And again, that would be responsible for overseeing the development of solutions to boost the appeal, devising and overseeing project delivery. It would feed into the coordinating group, and we're suggesting that quarterly meetings would be the right sort of cycle to get people together. We're suggesting that Choose Woodbridge would have an important role with this, that the District Council, particularly through the new Smart Towns initiative, would also be closely involved, as well as special interest groups. And we're suggesting the Farmers Market, the Jetty Lane initiative, but you may be aware of our organisations that are involved in events, that are part of perhaps developing an annual events programme for the town centre, that it would want to be involved. So very interested, once again, to hear your thoughts on the role of this group, the things it's trying to do, and who else should we look to involve. And to round off, what we're saying is, if you remember when I first showed you the pages from this document that you can see on the website, we looked at what the issues. What we're saying is to focus in our mind is to deliver joined up solutions across those themes that I've talked about, so that if we came back to ask people in a year's time, in 2 years' time, in 5 years' time, what they thought about Woodbridge Town Centre, that we would be able to see a marked improvement across the range of those issues, and so that much more people are telling us that their experience of enjoying Woodbridge Town Centre is getting better and better. And so to end the presentation, here is a reminder to the link to the resources page, where you'll find some of the documentation and links to various reports and other information around revitalising the town centre. Have a look at that, and if you want to be part of improving the town centre for future generations to enjoy, then feed in through the Town Council, through Choose Woodbridge, through the District Council, and through other organisations that you're already actively involved in. Thank you.